Right, I thought you'd just enjoy. Basically, I'm making a hammer. This is going to be my handle for the hammer. I've got it chucked in here, big piece of aluminium, and got the support on this side. So I'm going to just run and thin this down and keep a nice fat handle at the end, a nice slim head, and then a little chunk of dark mild steel, which is going to be the head, and then I'm going to have brass heads on both sides of the hammer. I might do this as a time lapse just so you can see it going. I think that'd be quite cool. So let me do that. Right, so I've done what, 3 passes now on there. Bring it down a little bit. I'm not going massively deep cuts, I don't want to stress the machine out, but not swarf and stuff. Let it run. Move that over here. It's a long, arduous process, but again, we'll gradually get thinner. Got a little bit of metal in my finger there. It's coming along. It's like my machine has like aluminium dreadlocks. Yeah. Let's keep going. What I'll do now is I'll round this and flute it up rather than this like step that I've been doing. Let's do that now. There we are, very nice transition. Slimmed it down by about half. So get this out of the chuck. There we go. A nice handle to my hammer. Now we just got to make the head. Right, it's after Christmas now. We're in between Christmas and New Year. I think it's like 27th or something like that. Now I'm going to work on the handle a little bit more on the hammer. Tidy up the ways on the machine. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to round off the end so it's nice and comfortable in the hand, and that needs to come off. I need to thread that top part that's obviously going to be the, there goes the handle, that's going to be the top of the head. I've never used my four jaw chuck, and that's for holding things that are not round. And obviously that's got to go like this, which I've never done before. It'll be interesting trying to find the centre on that and then drill the head, but whole process is about learning, figuring it out and having fun. Right, so it's taken a little while, but I think I've finally got this. So I've changed the head, the chuck, to a 4-jaw chuck so that I can hold something uneven, and I've got this all levelled up, ready to then do my first pilot hole and then eventually drill through. Let's give it a go. Put my visor on. There we go. A closer look at that. Very nice. Right, let's get a pilot drill through there. Right. So for the benefit of your ears, I've turned the sound off on this bit because some really high-pitched squeaking noises drilling through this, but we got through. Right, now for a slightly bigger drill bit. Oops. Right. There we go. Right. Lock that in. Right, next I'm going to mill flat in here, so when the handle comes in it kind of disappears in there. At the moment I've done that with a center drill, but now I've got a little mill end in here and have that nice flat that locks up in there nicely. It's not going to be much of a cut, just flatten that off just a little bit. That was it. Lovely. Right. Now I've got to start threading this hole. Not going to be easy, but hey, I love a challenge. Right. We have a hammer. It's actually very heavy, that top section. So what I've done is got a little bit of a relief here, then the threaded section, and then a plain section. Then in the head we have the relief here for the main bar stock to kind of sit in and disappear. Then you've got the threaded section in there, and then a plain section there. So when that comes through, it threads in and then comes out. So you get a nice seamless. There we go. Next, I've got to drill and tap both ends, and then have black Delrin ends to go on the end. I was going to do one end brass, but I don't want to spend 15 quid on a block of 30mm brass right now. First off, past me is a cheapskate, and I have bought some brass, and I will be doing that. Right, so what we're doing here is just thinning down the bar stock, which is 35mm. Want to get it down to 29.5 like the rest of the head of the hammer. So I'm just working on the passes, thinning it down bit by bit, taking measurements throughout to get down to my required dimensions, and then now I'm taking the bulk of the material off where the threaded section of the face is going to be. So what you've just seen me do there is I've changed the cutting piece, so it's going to cut a really nice 90-degree angle on the back side of the head there that butts up against the rest of the head. This part of the face needs to be very square, so I'm being very careful. I'm making lots of very fine passes to make sure that is exactly 90 degrees to where the threaded section is going to be. I'm now thinning down that threaded section, so taking measurements occasionally and slowly creeping up to that measurement of 8mm. What I have noticed with the brass is that rather than the long chips that you get with the aluminium, is that turning the brass you just get tremendous amount of dust, so I'm having to clean it throughout. Down to dimension now, so I'll take the tool off, and now it's time to start threading this bad boy. So just get this in focus on the threads. This is because it's a larger thread, and this is an M8 thread. It's got 4 cutters, and they start relatively light and then they get deeper, and then when you get down to your kind of bottom of your thread you flip it round, and then it's got the deeper cuts just to finish it off. Using my tailstock, I will put just the flat bit there, which will keep this level, and I'll turn the machine off and just rotate this by hand in order to thread that. Okay, so that worked really nicely. Now what I'll do is just test fit this. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. So now I'm just going to run a final pass across all 3 materials and then part this off. There we go. We did it. It's done. It's finished. Let's put it together. So we've got the head made of dark, mild steel. The handle made out of aluminium. It threads in nicely. The brass head, which you've just seen me make, which threads on beautifully. And then I made a black Delrin face. It again screws on nicely. Again, just use that rubber balloon to tighten it up. And there we go. It's done. Right, so the whole idea of a machining hammer like this is that it's simply for tapping. So when you're working on the lathe, you want to centre a piece. It might be off slightly, and you just want to tap it fractions of millimeters up, down, left, right. Tap it as you're rotating it until it runs beautifully smooth. And you don't want to do that with a normal hammer, because if you hit it with a normal hammer, you dent the workpiece you're working on. So you want the faces of the hammer, like this, to be softer than the material you're hitting. So black Delrin, you want to be tapping materials like copper and brass with that. And then with the brass head, steel. Again, it's not damaging the material you're hitting, you're simply just tapping it. But no, for my first proper lathe project, it came out really well. Chuffed.